Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another Fog of War in front of us here. This one is by PhoenixAki. It's been a couple of weeks, I think, since I've done one of their puzzles, so I thought I'd give this one a go. It's called How to Dot Your V's. Which is interesting. So let's just run through the rules, and there's a little bit of an intro here, it seems. So let's see what it says. So English speakers learn to dot your I's and cross your T's when learning to write, but I think people really miss out on the fun of learning how to dot your V's as well. Unfortunately, this grid missed that lesson at school, and the dots are in a bit separated from the V's. Perhaps if you saw the puzzle, you'd be able to learn what secrets are contained within dotted V's. Okay, so there'll be something we can figure out here once we get to the end. So let's look at the rules. We've got normal Sudoku, so every row, column, and 3x3 box will contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. We've got dynamic fog. Okay, so the grid is mostly covered in gray fog. Placing correct will progressively clear away the fog, at minimum under that cell and sometimes in other parts of the grid. So if we were to figure out what this digit is, this cell will clear and then maybe something else will also clear. That's the dynamic fog. We've got black dots, so Kropki dots. So a black dot between two digits means one digit is either half or double the other, or that they're in a 1 to 2 or 2 to 1 ratio. So this black dot means these guys are in that condition. Then we have X's and V's. So digits separated by V must sum to 5, and digits separated by X sum to 10. We don't show any X's just yet, but we do have a V here, so these two will add to 5. And if there was an X here, these would add to 10. Then we have cages. So cells surrounded in dotted line cages must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. Killer cages. So these will add to 11. These will add to 12. And you can't repeat digits in cages, in killer cages. Then we have German whispers. Okay. Adjacent digits on a green German whisper line must differ by at least 5. We don't have a German whisper line here, but let's say this was one here. These two digits on the line that are adjacent to each other must differ by at least 5. Then we have Renban. So adjacent digits on a pink Renban line must form a consecutive sequence in any order. Again, we can't see any Renbans yet, but if we had a Renban here, these digits here would be consecutive, non-repeating, and they can go in any order. They don't have to be in ascending or descending order in any way like that. Then what do we have? In this puzzle, neither German whisper or Renban lines leave the box they are discovered in. Okay, that's interesting. So a little negative constraint there. So if we do find a German whisper that looks like it's doing this, it can't ever leave the box. It must stay within its box. Okay. Same goes with the Renbans. Okay, good. Okay, we also had quadruples. Wow, there's a lot more rules in here than I thought there was going to be. That's fine by me. So again, we can't see any quadruples yet. So digits contained in a large white circle must appear in the 4 cells it touches. So if there was a circle in this corner here, it would have some number of digits in that circle. We don't know exactly how many, but it'll tell you that those digits that are in that circle must be within the 4 cells that the circle is touching. And those are all the rules. So with that said, link's going to be in the description below. Let's give it a try, see if we get this figured out. And where are we going to start is a good question. Well, obviously we have to start in one of these two areas. The black Kropki with the 12 might be a decent place to start. So let's think about that first, just because there's an interaction. Like this V clue and this dot and this 11, they don't have any real interaction with each other other than in the totality of the K or the region. So I feel like this has more chance of getting us someplace other than this. But if that isn't the case, we'll move over. So what can these be? 2, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, I can't speak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 are the only options you can put on black Kropkis. This can't be 8 because then both of these would be 4. Well, that's true for this too, because if this is an 8, this has to be a 4 and this has to be 8. So we get rid of the 8 entirely. We can't ever put a 1 in the 12 cage. We can't ever put a 2 in a 12 cage. Therefore, this can never be a 1 either. This can't be a 6 in a 12 cage because these would both be 6s. Therefore, this can't be 3. So we've got a 3 or a 4 in this 12 cage. Now, is there going to be any interaction between those? I don't think there is, because the 3 will go with a 9, the 4 will go with an 8. And that doesn't have any negative impact on anything else that this is tied to. So We got a little bit of info, but we didn't get anything really going here. So maybe we do need to start to think about what this could be. Because we might be able to do some math to maybe reduce what this guy could be. Because we know we've got a 5 clue and an 11 clue, so we're at 16 right here. We've got 5 more digits left over that we have to get 29 out of. Which does say that this can't be a 1-2 pair, because the most we can ever put in these 3 would be a 9, 8, 7, which is 24. So we said we needed to get 29. If these are a max of 24, these have to be a maximum of 5, or at least a minimum of 5. So, I guess that doesn't do too much either, does it? But the 2-4 is a no-go, though, because you put a 2-4 on this black Kropki, what do you put in the V clue? You can't put anything, because the V either is 2, 3, or 4, 1. So this is not 2. Now, what else is that going to do for us? There must be some further association between these guys. We know a 5 is always from 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there anything with this 11 clue that would somehow cause a problem over here, or one of these causes a problem with the 11 clue, or vice versa? Or do we need to really think more about our math and go in reverse from what we did about what would that leave over here? Because again, it's 16, so these have to add up to 29. 3, 6 would leave 20. We can't, that would be fine. I guess one thing we have to think of that also is that we can't have both 9 and 8 on here. So that actually does reduce this more, but I don't think it's going to be enough, because the only thing that was close to not being there was the 2, 4, and we just said we can't do a 2, 4, so we've already removed that lowest option out of here. So, what else can we think about here in terms of the math of this thing? These are 29. The 3, 6 leaves 20. Which, like I said, I think could be multiple ways, because you don't have to have a 9 on it. So you could use a 9 with some lower digits. You could use an 8 with some lower digits. What about if we did the A4, 8, we're looking at 12. Well, maybe we have to really go into, if this is a 3, 6, it forces this to be something, which might force this to be something. Because I don't think the math is necessarily getting us there at the moment. Because again, these could be either 9 or 12, which leaves 20 or 17 left over. And there's multiple ways all that could work. Okay, let's think about that then. If this was a 3, 6, this would be a 1, 4. This could be a 9, 2. Well, I guess let's think a little more broadly, because there's going to be digits that have to go into these 4 no matter what option we choose, right? So again, if we have a 3, 6, there will be a 1, 4. If we have a 4, 8, there will be a 2, 3. So the 3 and the 4 are always going to be placed in these, whether it be on the Kropki or in the V clue. Now, that does reduce the options of the 11 clue. Is there any further reduction we can do, though? If we have, again, the 3, 6 would go with the 4, 1. 4, 8 would go with the 3, 2. Yeah, there's no other reduction. Okay, so it gets down to 9, 2, or 6, 5. Because we can't do 8, 3, or 7, 4. Does that push? It does. It pushes a 7 down here. Whether or not that really helps us, I guess we can start going back into our maths there. Was there anything else that's being pushed in here? It doesn't look like it is. No, we just pushed a 7 into here. What does that do for us, though? Because then we can go back and look at our math again, where these would have to be 29 in total. 20 with the 7 is easy. $17 with a 7 is probably doable, or is it? Let's think about that. Because again, 16, these have to be 29. If we were to do the 4, 8, that's 12. So these 3 would have to add to 17. We've already got a 7 in here, so we'd have to have 2 more digits that add to 10. Is that ever possible? Because we can't use 6, 4, 7, 3. But 8, 2, or 9, 1 may very well work. Let's put it off to the sides. Let's because I'm not seeing, obviously, if we go with the 8, 4, it's going to create other issues. So I'm going to put it off to the side so that we can see it in its singularity. These would be a 2, 3. That would force this to be the 6, 5. That would force these, first off, to have a 7 in it. And we would have to have, no, that works. Yeah, it works just fine as a 1, 9. And it's probably going to be the exact same on the opposite side. If we go with the 3, 6, that forces the 1, 4. That forces the 9, 2. And that just creates the 7. No, that doesn't work. That is interesting. Because we'd have to put the 5. Oh, no, we're going to a different digit. Or sorry, a different value there. So it would be 7, 5, 7, and 8. And the value we had to get up to was 20. And this is 20. Okay, so that does all work out. Now, was there any other? I don't think there's any interaction here that forces something, though. No, I don't see anything there. Interesting, then. 4, 8, 3, 6. But what about, okay, let's think about each of these options in total relation to what it does over here. Because if we had the 3, 6, that forces this to be a 2, this to be a 4, and this to be an 8. And that breaks because we have 5, 7, 8 down here. So again, if this is a 3, we're putting these options into here. So they're looking at this. So the 3, 6 is looking at this 2, 4. Now, if we can't put a 6 here, that forces the 4 and the 2. And if this is a 4, this has to be an 8. But in the 3, 6 option, this has to be a 5, 7, 8. So that breaks. Okay. So, that said, we know what these are. In an interesting grouping or determination of, let's just get rid of all this stuff and we'll type it in clean. just what the options could be. 5, 6. But you kind of have to, it seems like you have to go through that process just to see what it is. So if this is a 1, 7, 9, this is an 8. And this is a 4. This then has to be a 2, and that gets us going. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Let's move on then. Let's try to figure this part of it out. This could be 9, 5, or 8, 6. This can't be 5 or 6, so this can't be 8 or 9. Then we're going to probably have some interactions again that we have to work out between these guys. So, these will be from 1, 2, 3, 4 again. I think is it going to be the same kind of interaction? Where we're always going to have a 3 and a 4 here. I think it is, but I could be wrong. Well, I don't know that that is, because I think we removed some options because of something other than what's going on up here. Excuse me. Again, we can't do a 1-2 pair. And we can't do a 2-4 pair. Same as we did down here. So again, we're going to have a 3. We are going to have the 3 and the 4 present here. In whatever version we go to. Because if this is a 3, 6, this is a 1, 4, this is an 8, 4, this is a 2, 3. Now, that again pushes a 7. But now we got to figure out how this interaction is going to work, because we don't have the same... Well, maybe we do, but we're just doing it up here. So we might have to go through the exercise again of testing out our options and see which ones can work and which ones can't work. We could also look at some Sudoku just to put in some bits and bobs. 4s. 8s have to go up here as well. 1, 7s and 9s, no. Okay, so I guess we have to go through our options again and see how that affects this. So in this instance, we have a 14 cage to go with our 5. So we're at 19 to start. So that puts us at 26 left over. Maybe that'll start doing something down here. We might want to go through our options again in a linear way, in this way. Let's say 1, 4 leaves 3, 6, which leaves 5, 8. Or sorry, 5, 9. And then that pushes 2, 7, and 8. And this couldn't be 2, this couldn't be 8. The other option is the 2, 3 with the 4, 8, which, oh, either way, it pushes the 9. Maybe that might have been an easier way of looking at this one, too. Five, 9. Yeah, it's always a 9, 5. That's curious. Because no matter whether we put if we put a 3, 6, that's the easier way to look at it, and I didn't think about it that way. If you put a 3, 6 here, that forces this to be a 5. If you put a 4, 8, it forces this to be a 9, which means this is a 5, so it's always a 5, 9. Okay. Alright, so we didn't have to necessarily, well, we went through it and it helped us get into what we needed to do, but this can't be a 9. Let's now try to continue this process and maybe learn from the bit of information we found there, and maybe it'll do something for us here. Now we have a number of clues that have popped their heads out. But we have the exact same interaction between the V's and our Kropki dot, so we are learning how to dot our V's. So again, we're looking at 3, 4, 6, and 8. So we're going to have a 3, we're going to have a 4 somewhere. We can also say that one of the, well, let's do it that way. This can't be, where did the 5 go? That's an X clue, so we can't put a 5 on it. We can't put a 5 on a 5 clue. We can't put a 5 on a black Kropki. We can't put a 5 on a German whisper. This is 5. Okay. Now, if we know we have to have a good thing we did our little bit of marking here that makes this easier. If we know the 4 and the, oh no, it doesn't really does it? Sorry, I was thinking of something else. What are these options? Because they can't be, it can't be 8 too, so we can't put the 8 on. That's that I'm trying to get at. This is a 4-6 pair. If that's a 4-6 pair, this is a 5 and a 6. It hasn't cleared anything yet, but that's okay. We can always come back to here. And we look at this guy, it can't be a 4-8 anymore, so it must be a 3-6, which means this must be a 1-4. If this is a 1 or a 4, this has to be a 6 or a 9. It can't be a 6, so it's a 9 with a 1-4. Good. This can't be a 4, so this can't be a 1. What are these 3 digits? We got to be able to figure something else there, right? So we've got 2, 7, and 8. So we have to spread out these guys. So we're going to have high and low on our German whispers. So we're always going to know that each digit on the German whisper goes from high to low to high to low, back and forth and back and forth. So these have to be the same polarity, either both high or low, and they can't both be low, so they're both high, which means this is 2. And that does remove this as a 2. It removes this as a 2, and removes this as a 3 because of the 5 clue. Good. Now that did open up a couple of little spots of information. We don't know anything about this cage yet. It's interesting that that pops up here in that way because we don't know what this cage does or what its value is. We do know, again, that this is from 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy here, we might have some reductions on as to what it can be. Now, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6. We can't put an 8 on it. This can't be 1 or 4. This can't be a 2. Is any of this grouping going to cause a problem here? The answer is yes, this can't be a 2, 3, because that would force this to be a 6, and therefore this would have to be a 3. We've already used the 3. This is a 1, 4 pair, which means this is not 1 or 4, which means this is just a 3, 6 pair. We get a 3, 6 double there. We also get the 1, 4, 3, 6, and 8, and we know this can't be a 2, so where does the 2 go? It goes there. And we get even more opening up. Good. That 2 then says we get a 1 and a 4. We know there is a 3 on this thing, so it's going to be 3, 6. Do we have anything saying which one is which? Not necessarily. We do get a 6, 4 here. Is there anything else looking down in any of these at the moment, or do we need to go over here? I think we just need to go over here for now. This is 7 and 8. Now we do have, like I said, we have a number of other clues that have kind of poked their heads out here. So let's think about which one we want to look at next. Or do we want to think further about this row or column? 6. Oh no, 6 is already there. Say 5 is almost close, but we could still have 2 places for 5s, and the 7s and 9s can go anywhere. What about these 3? Maybe that'll have some correlation. These have to be 1, 7, and 9. This can't be 1. Does that do anything with these guys? Actually, interesting, we have 179, 179 here, which is going to tell us that this is 259. That works, because this can't be 5. No, not 259, sorry. What's the other 235? Sorry, that does less for us. This can't be 5. What else does that? This can't be 2. Okay, that does tell us what these 2 digits are, which is going to tell us what this is. So let's go through the process. These are what? 3 and 5. We can actually just put those in. This has to be 3. This has to be 5, because we have the 3, 6 looking. And we also get this digit, which is the 6. Now, did those... Well, just means that this is a 7 or a 9. And it can't be 7. Okay, this is 9. This is 7. These are not 7s. Good. We're getting somewhere. Let's look at this guy here, because he gave us a little bit of information. I think he can give us some more. There has to be a 4 on it, and it can't be one of those. The 1 and the 7 don't really look into this yet, though. And we don't know... Well, we don't know if there's even another digit shown here. It could just be these 3. Okay, where else do we want to look? Because we haven't looked at this V clue, we haven't looked at this, we haven't looked at a Renban, and we know... Oh, I forgot about the German Whispers and Renbans do not leave their regions, so this clue could never go anywhere. This guy can't leave, but he could do something like that. I don't know if there's much doing on this clue. What does it... It's got to do something, right? What about you? It can't be 3, 6. So let's think about its options in comparison to the V, because that's what we've been doing the entire time. We're dotting our V's. This can't be 3, 6. So it's 1, 2, 4, 8. Can't be 1, 2. Can't be 2, 4. It is 4, 8. There we go. So this is not 1, 4. It is a 2, 3. That leaves a 1, 7. We can discern between the 2. Good. Now what? No. Okay. What other bits of information can we plug in here? This can't be a 1. This can't be a 3. This can't be a 9. This can't be a 1 either. Okay, there we go. This is 1. Hopefully there's more little things like that I just hadn't seen yet. But I don't necessarily think there is. Again, this cage doesn't really tell us anything except for the fact that these digits don't repeat, but they wouldn't anyway. Okay, let's think about this Renban. We know it can't have a 1 on it, because then it would have to have a 2 with it. Oh, actually, this 2, 3 just says this is 6 and 3. Let's put that in, and then we can sort this all out. Okay. Again, we got to try to find the easier things here sometimes. What are these digits? Then we'll come back to our Renban and think about that guy a little bit more. 6, 7, and 8 seems to be the dish here. So one of these is a 6. We also know one of these is a 6, because again, we have that 3, 6 looking here. We know one of these is a 5 by Sudoku. We said we can't have a 1 on this thing, so one of these is a 1, which means that one of these is a 1. Okay, Anything else? Or am I just kind of barking up the wrong tree here at the moment? Is possible. Don't see anything glaring at me, but I could just be missing it. So let's maybe think further about the Renban. What can it actually be? Where can it go or can't go? Obviously, it can't have 1, 2, or 3 on it. It can't have a 4 on it. Okay, that's what we need to look at. This can't have a 4 on it either, because it can't go to 3 or 5. So this is a 1, 4 pair. That gives us the 8 and the 4. This then becomes a 7, 8. And it's just going to be a stubby little Renban of these 2 digits. That's going to say that this is a 9 and a 7, though. Okay, that opened up the final section of this quadruple. So it does tell us that what these digits are. They are 1, 4, 5, and 7. Must have misclicked there. These again are not 4. These are not 5. Is there anything else there that we can say? Or is that just giving us a little bit of sweet nothings? The 9s, that's something. This is a 9. Okay. Is there anything else in these 9s? Or is that just one off there? It looks like it was just a one off. I just happened to notice it because I was thinking about where does the 9 go in this row and not even looking necessarily at the base Sudoku there. What else? 1, 4, 7, 8. So this is just a given digit of 2. That gives us 3 and 2. That forces the 1 here now, which forces the 6 here. Okay. These are going to be what? 3 and 5? Is there anything in that? These can't be 1s because of that guy being in there. The 6 here says this is 3 and 6. So we're really having to look around the board here to find some of this stuff. But once we see it, we get it. 3, 6. Okay, so what's left in these 2 digits? 2 and 8, and we can put those in. So we will. That 8 will give us the 7 and the 8. And does that correlate back down? Doesn't quite look like it does. So we're going to have to look elsewhere, I think. 4s, 8s, 3, 7. 7 and the 9 looking up. No, I don't see anything just... Oh, the 7, yes, it does. These can't be 7s, so this is 1, this is 5. This isn't 1, this isn't 5, so this becomes a 4, 7. That 1 sees our 9 and a 1, and I saw something open up over here, but I haven't glanced just yet. Now let's get these guys in first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. And what are the 5 and 9? Thank you very much. And they got 3 and 6. Okay. The 13 cage. Okay, so we know it's a 13 now, and we know there's a 6 on it, so it must be the 6, 7. That's the case. This is 8, 7, 4, 8, 7, 4, and that opens up. Okay, perfect. That opens up a little bit more information here. We can see this black Kropki means this can't be a 7. And that 8 says 4 and 1, and that should unwind everything else, I would think. Yep, this becomes 6 and 7. 6 sees back across to the 3 and 6. 3 cuts back over to the 2 and the 3. And, okay, so it doesn't get us everything, but it gets us pretty close. This is 9 and 7. We can probably figure these guys out, which will get up to where we need to be. So, 5 and 8. Yep, we can use those. And let's just put these in first. 2 and 9. So the 8 here says 5, 8. The 2 says 9, 2, and the 9 now comes back and says 5, 9. There we go. Cool. So, nice work. I can't talk. I designed this puzzle to demonstrate the seemingly inconsequential impact of having black dots that CAV, which I came across while solving another puzzle. Hope you enjoyed. So that really was, yeah, this had a lot of solves, and it's been a couple weeks since it's been out. I hadn't gotten to it yet, but there really is it's kind of interesting how all of these worked out and how there was an interaction there. So when you have the V and the black Kropki dot, you always end up having 3 and 4 being in the groupings. Now, I was going to see, it doesn't always come up to the same versions, but there's always 3s and 4s, which was kind of interesting. Yeah, something I wouldn't have noticed really. And when we started putting in our text here to see what the possible options of this could be, also seeing how no matter what you put in these guys, it always turned out to be the same thing here. So it's kind of another interesting little hiccup there. So anyway, fun puzzle. Wow, I didn't even feel like 36 minutes, but I guess we did have to go through a lot of logic and early on to see what was doing what. So anyway, I really enjoyed that puzzle. I hope you all did as well. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.